Good morning, amazing Jubilee community. Look at that view. It's another amazing day to be alive in the Blue Ridge Mountains or wherever you are joining us from today. Jubilee is this community that celebrates life and creativity and connection and this idea that all paths lead to the holy. Laura is off today and Jay is on his way to visit his father in hospice. So let's send him our prayers. To help build community in this virtual space, we ask you to turn on your video so we can see you and wave hi to the people next to you and say hi in the chat. If there's anything that we want to be celebrating together, birthdays, anniversaries, put that in the chat. And to remember to join the breakout rooms at the end of the celebration, which often is people's favorite parts. And I hope no one who helps lead the celebrations is offended by that, but I think the connection at the end is often people's favorite part. So the question today is, what are your plans? We plan all sorts of things. We plan our meals, we plan our days, trips, careers, families, agendas. I have a friend right now who's making a birth plan. Thich Nhat Hanh is mindfully planning his death. And hopefully you all have a plan to vote. So in talking to my friend about her birth plans, it's changed a lot as the doctors monitor her numbers. And so part of her plan has to be the willingness to let go of those plans. She knows that despite her well-intentioned ideas of how this should go, her plans will probably be disrupted. And how often do things go according to our plans? Trips get delayed, jobs and relationships get waylaid, agendas and days take on a life of their own. Often we see disrupted plans as a nuisance, as the universe acting against us. But what if disrupted plans are actually opportunities? I used to get really anxious. Of course, I never do it anymore. But when I did get anxious, I would always make plans. I would have these slips of paper all over my house about how things were going to go in the next 5 years. It was like making a plan gave me control over something. And I had plans for my career and for my finances and for my love life. And the thing is despite all of those lists around my house, things rarely went according to those plans. So these days, I have less of those slips around because I've realized that me making obsessive plans is a sign that I'm not trusting God, Allah, the universe. And you know the joke, right? Like, want to make God laugh, make a plan. And I don't think it's because God, universe, creator, whatever you want to call it, is spiteful. I think it's just maybe that energy has better plans for us than we could possibly imagine. And we have to get out of our own way, let go of our own agendas to let her work through us. And she works through us in incredible ways. She orchestrates not only our lives, but this whole incredible, complex multiverse of all lives. And we don't understand her. And maybe that's a really good thing, because I really hope that that energy, that mind, is bigger than my own, which is often short-sighted and self-centered. So while we might have plans for our day, our week, our year, or life, maybe having them disrupted is one of the best things that could happen. Maybe disrupted plans will take us in directions we couldn't possibly know we could go if we had simply relied on our own. So that's what we're exploring this week as we enter the Via Negativa, disrupting plans. And with that, let's release and let go.
Yeah, let's release. I release. I let go. I let the spirit run my life. My heart is open wide. Only here for love. I struggle, no more strife. I with my faith I see the light. I am free in the spirit. So I'm only here for love. Let's try one more time. When I let go, I let the spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for love. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for love. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for love. Yeah. Yona, what are you here for?
Oh my God, I'm here for love as well. And good morning, Jubilee. I am Yona FrenchHawk, your Native American rituals minister. And today I just want to share with you something that's been on my mind whenever it comes to plans, that I think maybe somewhere last year or a few months ago, we were all planning to be in person at Jubilee this morning, waiting for a hug and saying hello to everyone. And here we are now. And how, the best laid plans are, as Jackie was saying, I had a whole list of things to do, and now a lot of that has been erased, and learning how to be. So I just wanted to share with you this morning, this day before tomorrow being Indigenous Peoples Day, and which actually happens to fall on Columbus Day. And there's that Cherokee part of me that couldn't we chosen our own day to celebrate this, but now that it happens on this date in October, to remember that we are all one Indigenous people of this earth. And don't let the calendar mislead you that this holiday or this day of ceremony and honoring pertains to just someone that looks like me, because we are all one Indigenous tribe of this earth. If we have a heartbeat inside of us, then we are a part of the greater connection that is this life. And in those plans, all I want to say and call in the directions today is to explain to some people that may not know that to the Cherokee in the East, we call to the light of life, which is represented by the sun. And to the Cherokee isn't necessarily represented by an animal like some tribes. It's just we honor the sun and we honor the path of the mystery, and that we invite the light and the warmth of the sun to guide us down that path or up that path, to raise the vibration and to show up in love. And whenever I say the directions and honoring to the South, we honor the water nation, to all the living beings of the water nations, and the water itself to nurture our souls and our spirit, that very foundation of who we are, so that we filter that cool, clear water to feed the very pool of the soul of who we are. And we ask for the nurturing from within. And then to the west, we call to the ancestors, to the ones that have walked this earth before, that have lived in the skies and in the trees and in the wind that we see every day, our ancestors, our relatives. We ask them to remember us and to remember the prayers that they prayed for us, to remember the vision and the foresight that they had, the prayers for abundance, love, and oneness, and that we might live that abundance, love, and oneness in this day as they prayed for us. And then when we turn to the north, we ask the wind nation to come, to spread the not only the messages and the echoes of the past, as the wind touches the trees and the leaves and whispers its message to us. We ask for that understanding with each and every breath that the wind provides for us, that the next plan, the next great plan in life is to ensure yourself that you take the next breath. And in that next breath, you have received every miracle promised to you. And as we reflect on the inside and call to all the ancestors that feed us as a whole in our way, we just only plan to live in balance and harmony and oneness. And on this eve of Indigenous Peoples Day, remember, we're here to honor one another as one people in a good way, I hope.
Mm-hmm. So thank you, Yona. So as we sing this next song together, I think there will be a link in the chat to put some of your abundance in the hunger basket, and we will get together and smile on each other. Disrupting plans. Love is but a song we sing. Fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains ring, or make the angels cry. Though the dove is on the wing, you need not know why. Come on, people now, smile on each other. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Some will come and some will go. We will surely pass. When the one that left us here returns for us at last, we are but a moment's sunlight fading in the grass. Come on, people now, smile on each other. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. Come on, people now, smile on each other. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Yeah. Come on, people now, smile on each other. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Right now, right now.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everyone, for singing. Speaking of loving one another, it is such an incredible pleasure to introduce our next gift. Kate Pett. Sorry, something keeps showing up on my computer. Kate Pett, she's an amazing woman who I admire in many, many ways. She tirelessly works for social justice. She's deeply connected to community. She's an amazing neighbor and friend and a fabulous mother. She's also the director of Thrive Asheville, an initiative of UNC Asheville working to bring people together across lines of differences. She's going to give us our gift today. Kate, can you unmute yourself? There you go.
Morning, everyone, and thank you so much for allowing me to be here. It's such a pleasure to be a part of this community for a few moments for today. About 2 years ago, I started working with Thrive Asheville, and I uncovered a new world to me, a world of ordinances and regulations and zoning. The most unsexy plans you can possibly imagine. And it turns out that these plans, these mysterious, complex and often hidden plans shape nearly everything about how we build, live, and engage in our city together. These plans have such a profound impact on the way that we come together as a community. And oftentimes, the way that these plans really work to prevent us from living together. As many of you know, the history of Asheville, like nearly every city and in our country, is built on careful planning. And through redlining and urban renewal, these plans were really created to segregate the spaces that we live in and to separate us. It was by careful design, as many of you know, that our neighborhoods tend to be homogeneous by color and income. And the result of this careful planning is a community that is really fragmented. We are a city that yearns to be a community, but is truly divided by race and class, and the realities of very separate neighborhoods with clearly defined borders and boundaries, with starkly different access to resources, health, and opportunity. Nearly all of the inequities that plague our city stem from the very unequal ways in which our neighbors live in community. So my question for you is, what would happen if we could disrupt the plans that keep our neighborhoods enclaves of separation and inequality? I'm working in collaboration with a group of nonprofits, city and county government, private landlords, and tenants who are currently living in public housing. The landlord-tenant partnership is helping landlords navigate the process of accepting housing choice vouchers so that families who currently live in public housing can access better choices for their families and can move to neighborhoods that meet their needs for greater resources, safety, and opportunity. If you are a landlord, or if you know a landlord, I invite you and your friends and families to be a part of disrupting the plan to keep our community segregated. We are removing the barriers to accepting housing choice vouchers, which used to be called Section 8. Landlords who join us get training and support and financial assistance to make sure that accepting vouchers is doable for every landlord. And most importantly, get to be part of a network of landlords who want to be, who want to lean into their own commitment to social justice. And we're also supporting tenants by providing them with access to coaches so that they can navigate the challenges of leaving the communities that they live in and moving into other neighborhoods. So you can learn all about the landlord-tenant partnership at Thrive Asheville and by reaching out to me to learn more. And I'll close by asking you what would happen if we could disrupt the plans that keep our neighborhoods separate and segregated and unequal. We could build relationships across lines of difference. We could learn firsthand the lived experiences of new neighbors, and we could create a more equitable Asheville and become the community we seek. Thank you.
I hope.
Oh, it's my turn. Sorry.
It's you. It's you.
Yeah, I was waiting for Daniel to say something.
It's so you.
Thank you so much. Such a powerful program. And I hope as many people on this call today can join it as possible. And we will keep spreading the word to so many different jubilants. So now is when we enter our time into the prayer. We would lower the lights and we would hold hands. And we would breathe deeply. We have so much to pray about these days: the state of the world, the state of politics, the state of our communities, maybe even the state of our own lives some days. And sometimes we feel like we have agency, and sometimes we feel a little powerless. And yet, regardless, we always have prayer. And I think for some of us, it's a little easy to dismiss prayer in some way, but even the scientists, to the best of their abilities, show that prayer works. And study after study, they show that prayer makes a difference in the collective, and that it works better when we pray together. And we all pray in our own way, especially here at Jubilee, right? One dear friend said that one of the translations of prayer meant to simply breathe together. Some of us talk to God, Creator, Goddess, Allah, in our own words. Some of us chant mantra or recite rosary. And some of us just get still and know. But regardless of how we pray, prayer connects us to each other and to the world in some invisible web of power and grace. And so say, let's pray together in that way that we do as jubilants, breathing deeply, getting still. And LAMOTTE tells us that there are three main prayers that happen: the prayer of help, the prayer of thanks, and the prayer of wow. So I'm going to ring our bell today 3 times, asking us each to pray those 3 prayers. So the first one being help. So take a few breaths and send your prayers for whatever you need help for. And then another deep breath. Prayers for whatever you're giving thanks for. And then lastly, prayers for whatever inspire you, whatever you're saying wow to. Now we will sing and share our holy peace as we recognize our connection.
It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. So chat each other up in the chat. Share a little love. It's in every one of us. I just remembered, it's like I've been sleeping for years. I'm not awake as I can be, but my seeing's better. I can see through the tears. I've been realizing that I bought this ticket and watching only half of the show. There is scenery and lights and a cast of thousands who all know what I know. And it's good that it's so. Sing along. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. It's in every one of us by and by. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So David,
Hey,
would
buddy.
you like to share a song with us?
I would love to share a song with you.
That would be so great.
Brian was hoping to be with us and could not, so I just happen to be here, and I've got a guitar, so you know.
And you're the guy. David,
Yeah.
your guitar is overmodulating a little bit.
Thanks for the heads up. Let's see. I'm gonna do this real quick. We'll make it better. Way to interrupt in such
Yeah, you know.
a good. No, it's really right. This is what we're talking about.
Yep.
Interrupted plans. So how about this?
That's fine.
All right, we'll give it a shot. Trust spirit to move anyway. On a 2-lane road through the mountains, I am taking the corners too fast. My head is spinning as fast as my wheels, shifting from future to past. So many things to attend to, so many places to be. The mountains roll right past my window like a half-watched barroom TV. If I could die just for a moment, let these worries work themselves out. If it would all go on without me, tell me what's all this worry about? A promise is not like a moment's not something you keep. I've made too many promises lately, and the woods are lovely, dark and deep. I remember this friend down in Florida, where she used to get lost just for fun. She'd take any turn that presented itself, just to see where the road might run. Amazing the places they'd take her, the people and things that she'd find. I've been meaning to look her up again, but I can't seem to find the time. If I could die just for a moment, let these worries work themselves out. If it would all go on without me, tell me what's all this worry about? A promise is not like a moment's not something you keep. I've made too many promises lately, and the woods are lovely, dark and deep. Trying to make all the ends meet, it's like I'm skating the edge of a knife. So busy making a living, I've got no time for life. If I could die just for a moment, let these worries work themselves out. If it would all go on without me, tell me what's all this worry about? A promise is not like a moment's not something you keep. I've made too many promises lately, and the woods are lovely. The woods are lovely, dark and deep.
Oh,
So beautiful. All right, hear these ancient words. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is God's purpose that prevails. From Proverbs 19:21. And from Hafiz, pulling out the chair beneath your mind and watching you fall upon God. What else is there for Hafiz to do, if any fun in this world? That is any fun in this world. This is ancient wisdom and holy word.
thanks be to
that is
all wise and holy.
All creation is wisdom and holy word. All
All
creation.
creation sings of wisdom in God.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I'm so excited for David LaMotte to be here today to bring us our message.
Mighty good to see you, Jackie, and mighty good to see all of you. I'm honored and delighted to get to come and share a few thoughts this morning and mostly share my questions. I would love to tell you that I'm coming with answers this morning, and I'm going to tell you all about how to deal with disrupted plans and how to celebrate that even when it's hard. I would love to tell you that, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm here to be with you in our own muddling through. Here's where we are. This is the reality that we're living in. I don't know if y'all remember, in March of 2017, there was a little clip of video that went around. It happened live on BBC, and then people were wonderfully amused by it and shared it around on social media. And that's where I first saw it. And man, it made me laugh at the moment that it happened, because this Asia correspondent who was in South Korea, he was working for the BBC, and he was on live television when he was answering a complex question about North and South Korean relations, when suddenly his toddler daughter burst through the back door over his shoulder there in the back of the room, and she comes into the room dancing like this while he's on international television on the BBC having a very thick and deep conversation about international relations. And the daughter is dancing around there in the back, and he's trying to keep in the conversation, and it's impossible because the daughter is too adorable. And then you see who I presume to be his wife or partner burst through the room, following a toddler in a little rolling chair that has followed his older sister and also come into the room. And the two of them are there, and the mom falls into the room trying to catch them and pull them back. And everything is chaos, and it's beautiful and delightful. And there was a moment of humanity for these very serious newscasters that was so very refreshing to all of us. And I've been thinking about that clip so often lately, because you know what? Now it is all of us all day long, every day. Right? I mean, this is what Zoom calls are like for my wife and for me as we do our work in the world. Pretty much all the time. She is trying to have a conversation about racial equity with folks in early childcare education. And I come through in my bathrobe looking for clothes in the next room, not knowing that she's on this Zoom call, right? This is what we're doing. We're bringing our humanity to the work of the world. And suddenly I find that Bruce Cockburn has a kitchen, and he sits in it and plays guitar. Right? And these musicians that I've admired all these years have houses and lives, and they're welcoming us into them, and we're seeing them in their daily lives. And that's such a gift to me. It's one of the little gifts in this time that I am truly grateful for, in the context of so much for which I am not grateful, right? There's a lot that is really hard about the time that we're living in. I want to read you a poem by Seamus Heaney that was introduced to me by another soulful Irishman, my friend Gareth Higgins. And I love this poem. It's called The Skylight. You were the one for skylights. I opposed cutting into the seasoned tongue and groove of pitch pine. I liked it low and closed. Its claustrophobic, nest up in the roof effect. I liked the snuff dry feeling, the perfect trunk lid fit of the old ceiling. Under there, it was all hutch and hatch. The blue slates kept the heat like midnight thatch. But when the slates came off, extravagant sky entered and held surprise wide open. For days, I felt like an inhabitant of that house where the man sick of the palsy was lowered through the roof, had his sins forgiven, was healed, took up his bed, and walked away. Seamus Haney, The Skylight. We can interrupt even a roof with a saw and hold surprise wide open. So I don't know how you're navigating these uncertain days. I'm doing better on some days than other days, and that's my story. It is when people ask me how I'm doing lately, I have taken to saying I'm doing many ways all at the same time. And the other answer that I give often to that question, because I want to hear myself say it and be reminded, is that I have a great deal to be grateful for when I'm paying attention. But each of us is bringing our own story here, and I don't mean to superimpose my story onto yours. We are living in uncertain times, and that sounds kind of cliched at this point, a few months into the pandemic. We are living in uncertain times. But friends, aren't all times uncertain, if we're being honest with ourselves? Perhaps what we're losing is the illusion of certainty rather than the thing itself. And perhaps the loss of illusion is a gift to us. On May 17th, 1980, folks in the little tiny town of Cougar, Washington, woke up to a lovely day in a small town and went about their days. On May 18th, Mount St. Helens blew just a few miles away, and everything changed. And let me be clear, the surprises are not always bad surprises. These disruptions are sometimes a gift. Nelson Mandela, was in his 27th year of prison in early 1990. On July 7th, 1991, the following year, he was sworn in as the president of South Africa. And many, many smart people who had great stores of information to inform their predictions and prognostication were quite certain that when such a major sea change happened in South Africa, there would be a bloodbath and a genocide of white people in retribution for generations of oppression. And in fact, good leadership in South Africa led people to prioritize healing over revenge. And that very sound prediction did not come to pass. So I want to be reminded in these days that these disruptions are sometimes quite a gift. Not always. Sometimes they're extremely painful and sometimes quite damaging. But life is interrupted fairly regularly. In my own grieving and my own healing, I sometimes take comfort in the context that can be gained from stories that intersect with my own and with each other, and to look at how they map. What do these stories have in common with each other? Where are the differences? Where do they overlap and resonate with my own story? One of the differences that I note in the stories I've been looking at and preparing for this time with you today is that sometimes our plans are interrupted by outside forces, and sometimes it is we who do the interrupting. And it's important to realize that we are not without agency in this context, right? We are sometimes, I believe, actually called to be the ones who interrupt. I think about the story in 2007, May 26, 2007, just over the mountain in Knoxville. There was a Klan rally and neo-Nazis gathered. This was in the spring of 2007, and they had reserved the town square for 4 hours and pulled their permits, and they gathered with their hateful signs and their bullhorns, and they chanted and they shouted and they spoke their rage and beneath it perhaps their fear. And they were met by another rally, which was a clown rally. The C-O-U-P, Klutz clowns went to meet the Ku Klux Klan. And when the Klan began to shout white power, the clowns pretended they couldn't quite hear what was going on, and they facetiously joined in and chanted white flower and had a big flower fight in the street. They had brought props, they had rehearsed, they worked the white flower gig for a little while, and then they said, oh wait, I don't think we heard them quite right. I think actually they were saying white flowers, and they started handing out the flowers that they had brought to everyone assembled, making people smile and subverting the messaging of this hatred, interrupting their plans in a way that I consider holy and wise and faithful. It went on, culminating in, I did not include in the book that I wrote about this, in the little children's book, in the rhyme, I did not include one of the rhymes, which was wipe power, where they threw toilet paper and had a toilet paper fight. But the last one, they culminated with wife power, pulling on wedding dresses and having mock weddings there across the street from the neo-Nazi rally. Just this past week, we saw a similar beautiful, humorous subversion as folks who were looking for the hashtag Proud Boys in order to find people of like mind who were white supremacists and standing for those values, were surprised to find that the hashtag Proud Boys had been taken over by gay and trans men who were posting pictures of themselves expressing their love for one another, not exactly finding the message that the white supremacists might be looking for in searching for that hashtag. So sometimes the interruption is ours to do, and interruption is not always a bad thing. Sometimes interruption is calling us to something better. As Kate mentioned, in terms of interrupting our zoning laws, interrupting the legacy of redlining and the systems of oppression that we have accreted over generations of racist policies, these need to be interrupted. And friends, I have to keep reminding myself, so I'll remind you too, in case you need a reminder, that this is always what a period of progress looks like. It always is chaotic. There is always violent backlash. The fact that things are so scary right now does not necessarily mean that we are sliding backwards. Sometimes the wave is falling back in order for the tide to come in. And I hope that that's what's happening now. But when I say hope, I want to be clear about that too. It's not just that I'm optimistic about that. Rebecca Solnit wrote powerfully that both optimism and pessimism are really ways to excuse ourselves from the work. Optimism says, hey, you know what? It's going to be okay without me. Pessimism says, you know, no matter what I do, it's all going to go south without me. Hope is something different. Hope is not optimism. As Václav Havel wrote so powerfully, he said, hope is not prognostication, it is an orientation of the spirit. I want to say that again. Hope is not prognostication. It has nothing to do with what we think is going to happen. It is an orientation of the spirit. It's a question of where we point our lives, not always because of, but sometimes in spite of what we think is going to happen. And this is the remarkable thing, that our instructions are the same no matter what we think is going to happen. This is the thing I want to remind myself of this morning, and perhaps you, if you sometimes forget as well, that despair, which is the opposite of hope, leads to inaction. And inaction very seldom leads us on a better path. We are needed, all of us. We are here for all of us. We are called into this work of hope and of love. And no matter my analysis, my instructions are the same: to love courageously and tangibly the people around us. But I can't say that without also saying this. Our work is not to be done alone. We love hero stories as a culture. We love to tell the story of someone rising up in the spur of the moment and doing something dramatic and fixing the problem. And friends, that's just not how history happens. History happens when a lot of people gather together and decide there's a better way, and then figure out who's going to do what and when we're going to meet back here again to talk about the next steps. I hate to say this. As a child who grew up in a Presbyterian context, it is hard for me to admit this out loud, but you know what changes the world? Committees change the world. Friends, teams change the world, to translate into Jubilee language, right? People who show up to do the work are the ones who get to decide which direction things are going in. So perhaps we are called to bring some interruption to the world and to try to stay centered in active love even when our plans are interrupted. I want to say that I never want to speak platitudes into people's very real pain. And I know that for some of us, this time is an inconvenience. And for some of us, this time actually brings deep blessing. I have friends who have nothing to do right now. Their plans have been interrupted in that way. I have other friends who are working harder than they've ever worked before, and their plans have been interrupted in that way. I have friends who are heartbroken because they can't get to their parents in retirement communities, some of whom are sick. I have friends who've lost people that they love and whose hearts will never be the same. Wherever you are today, know that you are loved and that you are held in community. And if you are feeling called in this moment to show up to do the work of loving the people around you, please remember that the best way to do that is in community. And I know community is harder now when we're trying to create community digitally, but there is community out there for you. When you see people doing work that you admire and respect, reach out to them and say, how can I help? If you are longing for connection that you're not feeling right now, reach out to this community, because this community wants to be here for you. They mean this stuff they're saying about loving each other. I've hung out with them enough and had enough serious conversations to know that they mean it. And I'm honored to be connected to this group of people, to get to stand in this circle, not only today, but ongoing. So remember, friends, that you are not alone as we all navigate this disruption of plans. Find your community and let's show up for the tangible work of love. Valerie Kaur, who is a Sikh filmmaker and a wise, wise teacher, asked this question persistently over and over again of us. She says, yes, this is a dark time. The question for us is whether this is the darkness of the tomb or the darkness of the womb. And I believe that perhaps that might be up to us in the leading of Spirit. Be gentle with yourselves, friends, and be gentle with each other. All of us are carrying more than we realize. And know that you are loved.
I'll take a nice big deep breath, let all of that brilliant wisdom in. Thank you, David. Such a powerful message today. And we are a community that cares about each other, and we do mean what we say. And Jubilee in Action is how we show up for each other and how we show up for the larger world, ways that you can get involved. And before we go into that, I just also want to say that for Jubilee to be here, we need all of you. We need you to show up and be part of this community with your cattails and the screens and all of the things. We also need your financial donations as well. it's the way that we can keep the main thing, and keep showing up here. So in the chat are ways that you can donate either through our online giving or through an app or even through texting. And every, $10 makes a difference. So please, there's so many people who continue to give their pledge and to continue to give online during these challenging times. So thank you for doing that. So one of the things that's really challenging right now as a digital community is how to connect. And we have these wonderful after celebration chats, but we're looking to find more ways to get together, either in person or Zoom, that really meet your needs. And so there's a couple of forms you could fill out, and those will be in the chat. There are some ideas about how we might get together, or if you want to host a small gathering. But right now in the chat, if you have ideas of how you would like to connect in ways that are safe during these times, please put them in so we can start doing those, so we can start making those happen. We really want to know if you want to get together for a picnic or a hike or a fire or an outdoor movie while it's warm. Or whatever else, a Bible study, just let us know, put it in the chat. Also, to keep Jubilee going, we have this amazing board, and they've been taking us through some really challenging times these days. And one of the board members needed to commit more to her family during these times. And so she has 9 months left on her 3-year commitment. And we're asking if someone would step forward to fulfill those last 9 months. If you're interested, you can contact Nancy Ellington or Bill Byrne, and their emails will be in the chat. We also have this amazing communication teams that has come together during this time to just help spread the word about Jubilee for people who might be interested. And they got an amazing grant, a $10,000 grant a month for Google Words, Google Ads. And so if you're someone who knows how to do that and would be interested in donating some time to sort of take that money and do something with it, please contact Michelle Bernhardt, and her email is in the chat as well. Also, I wanted to give you all an update. We had several weeks ago asked for volunteers to help man the space, the Jubilee space, while we hosted low-income school kids during the week. And nothing happened with that because the kids went back to school, so it was no longer needed. So I just wanted to let you know what had been going on with that. And then our racial equity team is really active right now. And they have a Facebook group you can join. They're doing a book club right now. There's another one coming up probably in a couple months. They can also put you in touch in ways that you can get involved. So please check that out. And lastly, we have our Earth team, who is Roger Helm, an amazing community member who worked for the Fish and Wildlife Service and has traveled the world. And he's doing a presentation called The Inspiration of Awe and the Challenge of Climate Change. And that's happening for 4 consecutive Mondays in November and December. I wanted to give you a heads up about that. So there's a lot more going on. And if you aren't already part of our newsletter, please sign up on the Jubilee homepage. It's in the lower left-hand corner, and you'll get all the updates of all the things going on within Jubilee, how we connect, as well as ways that you can connect to the greater Asheville community. So thank you for being a part of this amazing community. These things happen.
Thanks, Jackie.
Yeah, dedicate our gifts.
Yes, and I think Jackie's going to allow you to unmute yourself so you can we can do our cacophony of chaos on this one. We are here. We are here for all of us. We are here for all of us. Yeah. That's why we are here. We are. Hey, Sissy. We are here for all of us. We are here for all of us. That's why we are here. Tree of life. We are here.
Hey, love to all.
There we go.
I'm going to mute you all again, and David, you'll have to unmute yourself. Oops. David, there you go.
Friends, may the extravagant sky enter and hold surprise wide open. Go now in peace to love and serve the one who created you and all the created around you. Knowing that you're loved and that you're needed and that you're loved and that you're imperfect and that you're loved and that you're capable of making a difference and that you're loved and that you're forgiven and that you're loved and that you're loved and that you are loved. Amen.
Thank you so much, David. Life from you to me, life for all to see, life from me to you. Life keeps moving through, it's the river of love, and it flows on through. We're the river of love, let it wash through you. Let's do that one more time. Sing to the cats and the dogs and the kids, and the partners, and the walls and the roofs. Life from you to me, life for all to see, life from me to you. Life keeps moving through, it's the river of love, and it flows on through. We're the river of love, let it wash through you. It's the river of love, and it flows on through. We're the river of love, let it wash through you. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to send us all into our breakout rooms. If you haven't done this before,